Nail by Ian Jones and Andy Edwards. Episode 2, The Goose, Tuesday, March the 24th, 1942. The meeting with Bobby's wife, Rebecca, is weighing heavy on Nail's mind. After working in the graveyard, he can't face going home and ends up in the cafe. News of Edna and a chat with Anne reveals a story from his recent past. I've been digging a grave most of the morning and my mind's been churning over and over about Bobby and that letter. Oh, why haven't I done it before now? Out of sight, out of mind, I suppose. Verden gave me a hand for a couple of hours up the church. Found it hard work, he did. It is hard work. Sent him home to get some dinner now. There's a bit of rabbit stew left for him. Maggie made it last night then. She had spuds and cabbage with it. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, really nice, man. She's a good cook, bless her. Thank God Dai English had a couple of rabbits hanging in the cold room in the shop. Dodged a bullet there. Would have had a lot of explaining to do if I'd come back without one. Don't think I can cope with lying to Maggie about the auxiliary much longer. Who's she going to tell anyway? I won't go home yet though. Too much on my mind, you know. Need a bit of space. Bit of time to get my head straight. I'm going to go to the cafe. It's empty in there apart from Anne. So I sit on my own under the clock. And Georgie comes over for a sniff and I scratch her head. Hello, gal, I say. Perhaps you can sort my worries out, eh? The dog immediately turns away, heads to the door. She looks at Anne and whines, pleading with her to open it. Then out she waddles, not interested in the troubles of an old soldier. Pasty and a cup of tea, please, Anne, I say. Oh, give me a minute now and I'll bring it over, she replies. Where's Surgeon, I ask. Oh, can't tell you, Nail. I'm sworn to secrecy. Seem like everyone's got secrets round here at the moment. Ah, right, okay. So where is he then, I joke. Well, to my surprise, she answers, oh, he's gone with Dai English in his van to see a man about buying some turkeys. They're thinking of fattening him up for Christmas, they are. Hoping they can make an extra couple of bob. She brings over my tea, then goes back to get the pasty. Puts it on a small white plate with a serviette and a knife, and then brings it to the table. Got any HP? I'll bring it over now. Do you fancy one then? One what, I ask. A bird, man. Do you fancy a turkey for Christmas? Well, it's a bit early to be thinking about Christmas, isn't it? It's only March. Oh, go on then, I say. Put me down for one, why not? Anne brings the HP sauce to the table and sits down opposite me. Do you mind if I join you for a minute, Nail? It's been dead as a dodo in here this morning. I've been talking to myself, she says, as she sits. I demolish my pasty with a big dollop of HP. Lovely that, Anne, I say. Did you make it? No, she says. Sergio does them every morning. Fair play to him. Up with the lark every day. So where they getting his turkeys then, I ask. Oh, some chap in Aberystwyth, she says. Oh, not Arthur Two Donkeys, I inquire. That's him, she says. Arthur Two Donkeys. God, he's a dodgy one, I say. Do you know what, Dan? I got a good story about him. Is it funny, she says. I could do with a laugh. Well, it's strange more than funny, really, I reply. Oh, go on then, she says. I got bugger all else to do, and she laughs. I brush the crumbs off my jumper and finish my tea. Well, me and Dai went to Aberystwyth a couple of Christmases ago in his van. And I was going to see my mother and Marianne, and Dai was meeting Arthur Two Donkeys in the White Horse. Pick up a goose for him and Philly for Christmas dinner. Well, he was in a bit of a rush because Philomena was in the butcher's on her own. It was a busy time, you know. Christmas and everything. Well, we parked up outside my mother's and Dai walked down to the White Horse. Well, cut a long story short, after an hour or so, I went to the pub to join Dai for a quick one, before we drove back. It had started snowing, so I didn't want to be too long. When I got there, Dai was sitting by the bar on his own. 3 sheets to the wind he was, maybe 4. "Two Arthur donkeys gone to get the goose," he said. I got a pint in, and soon afterwards Arthur arrived, pushing an old wicker pram. And sitting in it, right bolt upright, was the biggest goose I've ever seen. It looked as if it was relaxing after a heavy supper, sat up like a baby cross-legged. Well, Anne smiles, and Arthur, he'd given it a whack and plucked it ready. Fair play to him. Dai wanted to pay him in meat. You know what he's like. Anne nods, and Arthur was having none of it. "Cash is king, Mr. James," he said. "Cash is king." Anyway, Dai paid up and we set off. I had to drive. He was in no fit state. We threw the goose in the back and got going. Dai was very happy with himself. "Oh, Philomena's going to be chuffed with me," he said drunkenly. "Everything is tickety-boo." Well, the weather had taken a turn and the snow was coming down hard. It was freezing, the wipers struggling to cope with the amount of snow, and it was hard work controlling the van. After a couple of miles, Dai fell asleep, snoring like an horse he was. "Oh, Philly's told me he's a snorer," says Anne. We did all right until about a mile out of Pontero. We came down the hill by the bus stop, the wheels locked, and we skidded. Crashed straight into a ditch at the side of the road. Ooh, I bet I had a shock. Hell of a shock, I say. He woke up like a bomb had gone off. I banged my head on the steering wheel, was covered in blood all down my face. He thought I'd been shot. Anyway, suddenly there's a commotion in the back. The goose is flapping and screeching around the van. Can you imagine now? Arthur hasn't killed the flipping thing. He'd only knocked it out and it's come round in the back there. Well, Anne laughs, eh? Oh, it went bonkers, Anne, honest to God. Flapping and hissing and honking. Bad enough it had a sore head, but it was bald as well. Not a feather on it. We both laugh loudly. Well, the next thing, it's pecking and pinching the back of my head and neck, and Dai is laughing like a banshee. It was having a right go at me, flapping its bald wings and popping itself everywhere, cache all over the place. Oh, the smell took my breath away. "Oh, stop it, man," she says, holding her sides. Dai went in the back of the van with a wheel wrench, started taking swipes at the goose. We were hysterical, I can tell you. "Oh, don't, please, Nail, stop now. You'll make me wee myself," screeches Anne. Honest to God, I say, it took about 10 clouts to finish it off. We couldn't get the van out of the ditch, and so we had to walk to the village, pulling the goose by its legs through the snow. We must have looked a right sight. And Dai, he was stumbling and laughing uncontrollably, and me covered in blood and peck marks. Bryn from Bulk Farm gave us a lift for the last bit on his Ford son. "Whoa, look, it's the 3 wise men," he said, and Anne laughs again. We chugged into the village, hanging on for grim death to the tractor and to Dai's goose. My hands were freezing, bright red, could hardly feel my fingers. When we got there, the square was full of children playing in the snow, toboggans and snowmen already on the go. They all danced and shouted around as we hauled the goose into the ship inn. One of them hit Dai in the back of the head with a snowball. Now, when Maggie came in the pub later, she was convinced I'd been fighting, see? Took ages to convince her what really happened. And Philly James was tamping with Dai. She'd had a hell of an afternoon in the butcher's on her own. Cheered up mind when she saw the size of the goose. We'd sat it on a chair in the cutch under the stairs. It looked like Buddha. "Oh, you're a card, Nail," said Anne. Cheered me right up. "Let me get you another cup of tea. I'm going out the back first, though," she said. "My bladder's about to burst with laughing." So as I'm waiting for her to come back now, the doorbell tinkles. And in walks Maggie. "Thought you were coming home after dinner," she says calmly. Oh, I was feeling a bit melancholy, I reply. Thought I'd come and sit on my own for a bit, you know. Well, how did Verdon get on, she asks. He came home, ate his stew, went back to bed, exhausted he was. To be fair to him, he did all right, I tell her. He didn't stop for 2 hours, you know, it's bloody hard work. Language, please, she scolds. Sorry, I say. Bloomin' hard work. That's better, she says and smiles. Ladies present, remember. I take hold of her hand and I don't know how this happened to me. Every moment I'm with her, the world feels like a better place. She just eases my troubles somehow. I'm going to see my Auntie Blodwyn later, she says. She's had a fall. Could you drive me to Nantglas, please? You don't have to come in. I know you find it hard work. Oh, of course, I don't mind driving you, I say. She's a nice enough old bird. Just set in her ways, that's all. Entitled to be a bit grumpy when you're her age. Thanks, sweetie. You're a love, you are, she whispers. Anne walks in as she's speaking. Oh, love's young dream, she says approvingly. I wish Sergio looked at me the way Nail looks at you, Margaret. He used to mind. Before we got married. Before he got what he wanted. He's got more feelings for Georgie than me now, I think. Mind you, given the straight choice, I might choose the dog first as well, she says. And we all laugh. I'll bring a pot over now. Do you want something to eat, Margaret? No, Taran. I nibbled on the rabbit bones before I came out. You'd be surprised how much meat was left on the carcass. Lovely, Anne replies and smacks her lips. Are you still worrying about Friday, Maggie asks me. I nod and sigh and... It'll be all right, love, she says. She'll be glad to see you now. I'm sure she'll understand about the letter. Well, I hope so, I reply. I just never had the strength to do it before. I'll be honest. If we weren't together, I don't think I'd be doing it now. Maggie smiles. Well, we are together, she says, and holds my hand again. Will you two pack it in, says Anne. It's like watching two youngsters all lovey-dovey and dewy-eyed. She puts down the pot and sits with us at the table. According to Nosy Owens, the jury are out in Edna's trial. They're probably going to get the verdict today. Oh, I can't believe it, says Maggie. Edna Priest, a murderer? Let's see what happens now, I say. Remember, Howard wasn't well for ages before he went. Let's see what the jury thinks, huh? 12 good men and true. I don't see it either, says Anne. She could be a bit strange with all her potions and tonics, but she was a kind woman. Did loads of stuff for the WI, doted on those ex-husbands of hers. Never away from the grave with flowers and prayers. Well, she'll swing if they find her guilty, I say. You mark my words. Oh, don't say that, Hobart. It's a terrible thought. She had a terrible upbringing, you know, not nice at all. The three of us sit in silence and the dog jumps up onto Anne's lap for a stroke. Time will tell, I say, time will tell. Anne pours the tea slowly.